Well, it's 4 o'clock. We'll give it another minute. Okay, Madam Clerk, we'll get started because we have the majority of the Finance Committee here. So I'd like to call the Finance Committee meeting to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Sure. Councilmember Evans.
Present.
Councilmember Harris.
Present.
Councilmember Patterson.
Here.
Okay, introductory number 284 is authorizing the cancellation or refund of erroneous taxes and charges. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Introductory number 285 is authorizing an agreement for the 2021 Puerto Rican Festival.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Introductory number 286 is authorizing an agreement for the 2021 Key Bank Rochester Fringe Festival.
I have a question.
Yes, who has a question?
Lupian.
All right, Councilmember Lupian.
So one of my questions got left off in the ARCA. So my full question was, the festival is 3 days longer and has more free events than the Jazz Festival and brings a similar number of festival goers downtown. My question was, what is the justification for the lower amount of support for the Fringe Festival than the Jazz Festival?
Is Justin here?
Thank you, Councilmember, for the question. One of the two things that are occurred here is, one is the Jazz Festival has a long-established partner funding that's been there for years, and then two is based on the request that's been provided by Fringe Festival. We've actually increased our funding there to support them as they've grown, and typically what we do is go along with festivals as they have success, and that's exactly what we've done in this instance. And we're excited about the plan that they have for this year and the increased level of funding that we're providing them.
I also, the holiday festival comes up later, but similarly, it's been around for 3 years, less than the Jazz Festival, and from what it looks like, it's going to be funded at the same level, though the Jazz Festival has more free events and is longer. So the level, even though it's getting more than $55,000 this year, that's what it's going to be projected at in years followed, and the holiday festival is getting $55,000 this year, and I imagine in years following. So it doesn't track that they get such different levels of support.
So it's based on a lot of times what the promoter or the event sponsor requests of us. So, with the Rock Holiday Village, is that what you're talking about? We work with Jenna, and she works with sponsors and all of that, and as with everybody else. So depending on what the promoter is asking of the city, that's what we would provide and the type of support that we provide for their events.
Okay, so the Fringe Festival has asked, well, I know this year they asked for 125 and got 70, so I know that was a significant increase. And that they've gotten more than they have in prior years.
Right, so they've increased it from what they had in the past, and we increased it from what we had in the past. And majority of the time, we don't necessarily give what people ask for, depending on other factors that may be going on with that as well.
Yeah, I guess I hear what you're saying. I guess it just doesn't make sense to me that we're sponsoring a for-profit holiday village at the same level that we would be supporting a nonprofit, longer, more free event Fringe Festival.
So with the Rock Holiday Village is a little bit different because we went to them. We solicited them to help us out. We just the history of the event. Going to Bryant Park. I went to Bryant Park. Jenna went to Bryant Park. I came back to really talk to our team about what can we do in the summertime? You know, hearing about how Midtown was in knowing, because I went there, the place that people went to in downtown Rochester during the wintertime. Actually, if we don't do the Rock Holiday Village, there are no downtown events in the wintertime. And so it's a request that we put out, in an RFP that we put out. And so just like different events that the city really promotes and pushes for, we sponsor those at a higher level than what we would just an event that comes to us from someone else.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Thanks. Anything else on introductory 286?
Move it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Introductory number 287 is authorizing an agreement with Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra for public music performances. Questions, comments?
Move it.
Moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Introductory number 288, authorizing an agreement for the 2021 Rock Holiday Village event.
Yeah, I have a question.
Before you have your question, I'll just say I'm very much looking forward to this event. And just in general, I think as it relates to events, I think all of these organizations, be they profit or nonprofit, are thankful for what they get from the city. And I always say technically the city doesn't have to do any of these things, but it does provide an enhancement because it allows for people who may not have been able to afford to go to these events, So I think it's careful. We have to be careful, I think, also not to try to put events against each other, particularly when we are trying to build a more vibrant city. So I think there's enough private and public partnerships that we can have where all these events can be successful. So I don't want us to try to put events against each other, especially at a time when we're trying to recover as a city after COVID, when people have been locked up for so long. So I'm very pleased to see that the 2021 Rock Holiday Village will be happening this year, along with Fringe Fest, and that the Puerto Rican Fest is at. Psychologically, I think as a community after the pandemic last year, it's important for us to be able to have these events come back, and it's great that the city is supporting them, and more importantly, that most of these organizations are also getting private support. So I just wanted to say that. Any other questions on introductory number 288?
Yeah, so Councilmember Evans, I echo the excitement for Rock Holiday Village. It's incredible. It's an incredible event. And my questions are not meant to diminish that in any way, but just for me to highlight an inequity that appears to be. And if we're in danger of losing the Fringe Festival because if they're not getting the support that they need, that would be a huge loss for Rochester. So my question on Holiday Village is, just clarification, in the answer that was given, it said that Holiday Village was going to reinvest profits back into the festival to continue to make it free. But I guess I didn't really understand what that means, given that the city has provided funding and it's been free up until now. So how would they be reinvesting their profits?
I'm not understanding your question. So
I guess
there are a number of events that are free with the Rock Holiday Village.
Yep.
From the people that are children that can come and ice skate, to the craft tent that many of our children and others come to, many times getting free hot chocolate and cocoa. There are just a select number of paid or, the igloos and things like that they actually have reserved in different facilities that they build there that are paid for. But for people to come and enjoy the Rock Holiday Village, for the vendors to have somewhere to be, to have somewhere to sell their products and all of that, that is people walking around experiencing that outdoor festivities in the wintertime for free. So I'm not understanding exactly what your point is.
So in the first 2 years, the first year they made $31,000 profit. The second year they made $38,000 profit. That's with the activities being free and the city's contribution. So and we're doubling our contribution this year. So this is the answer I got back. Though it is for a profit endeavor, the organization seeks to invest revenues back into the event each year in order to continue to make the admission free. So I guess I don't understand what that means.
So, Councilman, if I could, you know, having been involved in special events, formerly as the Director of Communications Special Events, and going back to something that Councilman Evans said, when we entered into the Rock Holiday Village, we didn't want the city to be the one carrying the risk for this event. And as you know, weather-dependent events, particularly in the wintertime, can very much be impacted by things out of our control. So the folks who do this event do it at their own risk. And they've been a great partner with the city. This event in particular has a lot of overhead. If you're familiar with the build-out that occurs, it takes over a month to do that, and there's a lot involved. And so I think that, you know, the level of support that they're asking for, and I understand where you're coming from, certainly, because these dollars are very, you know, dollars are always in short supply. But given the level of risk that they undertake to do this event and that do it in partnership with the city, so that we can make sure that this free and exciting event happens in the wintertime, you know, it was seen as this was a reasonable request on their part. And going back to something you said earlier, talking about different events and the different funding levels, you know, these events all arrived kind of in our city at different times and in different scenarios, and the city's commitment to those events occurred all over this sort of historic timeline. And we have these events that we've supported for many years, and I think we try to continually support them in bigger and better ways to ensure that we have a very robust festival and event season here in the city. We instituted a special event funding application to make that a bit more transparent and to also allow us to have set criteria so that we could fund events in a way that was transparent but also fair. And we've always encouraged more participation from council in that process over the years. Councilmember Conklin and Councilmember President Scott have been very involved. So, you know, it's very difficult to kind of make that balance. We do try very hard not to pit one event against the other. A dollar taken from one event shouldn't necessarily mean a dollar given to another. But it is looked at, and we try to be very careful in how we balance those needs. And this event in particular is one that is done at great risk to our partner, and so therefore it does seem like a logical request to the city to invest these dollars.
Yeah, because I guess just first glance, you know, if they're making $38,000 profit, given a much lower funding level, it just seems like we're just increasing our profits, which is where I was concerned.
Certainly, but given weather, you know, given weather challenges, that $30,000 in profit could be a $30,000 deficit. So
Understood.
Every year they do more. So, you know, year one, it was different than year two. Year two was different than year three. You know, when they talk about reinvesting back into the Rock Holiday Village, it is that expanding or doing more. You don't know, you know, what their footprint will be this year. So every year they tend to do more when doing these types of events because they learn from the prior year. And so I think that just looking at, okay, well, they made a $38,000 profit and we're increasing the amount that we're providing to them is because we know that they plan on doing more than what they did the previous year. And they expand. Maybe they bring in more igloos because all of them go so fast and they're rented and all of that. And so Jenna and her team has been a great partner for us, not just with this, but even during COVID when we needed to help our restaurants and bring in the greenhouses and expand in that way. And so to ask for an additional amount to expand a Rock Holiday Village and to bring Christmas downtown, I think is not out of the norm, and the city should be supporting and continues to support this type of event for our community.
Well, it makes sense if we're getting more. Thank you for that clarity. And then my other question was around the infrastructure support. So just a clarifying question. It says the village has provided the baseline level of support that any event utilizing MLK Park receives. And so is that, for any event that MLK Park that is there, is that part of the package of renting it, or is that an additional cost for other events?
I mean, when you talk about a city sanctioned event, right? So, when we did the party in the park there, part of that city sponsorship would be to provide those amenities, porta potties, toters, electricity, those things. If it's a city sponsored, city sanctioned event, they have a permit, that's one thing. If it's an event that's just a pop-up that the city didn't necessarily have anything to do with, or we didn't know about it, then they wouldn't have all of these other items that are attached to it.
Okay, so it's any city-sponsored event using MLK Park. Got it. Okay, thank you.
Anything else on 288?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Introductory number 289 is a resolution approving a reappointment to the Rochester Public Library Board of Trustees. Questions, comments, concerns?
Move it.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Introductory number 316 is authorizing a term agreement for technical advisory services to implement Office 365 and SharePoint Online.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. And introductory number 317 is authorizing an agreement for compliance with the American Rescue Plan Act. Questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Is there any other business to come before the Finance Committee?
Yeah, I do have a question. I think at several points, council has asked questions about the allocation of the ARPA funds, and I was just kind of wondering why council wasn't more involved in that process, and especially in the prioritization of those projects.
So you haven't received our ARPA plan, and so you'll be involved when we submit it to you. Our hope is that once we have this team on board, they'll be able to look at what the administration is putting forth to make sure that we are in compliance with what the federal government has outlined. We'll provide that to you, and then you'll have your time to review and to make adjustments that you, as a council, may feel would be necessary. But it's submitting it to you, and then that's when you'll have your time to review and make adjustments.
Right, I guess I hear you, but there's a difference between doing the entire thing and handing it to us and then being involved in the process.
Well, that's the process. The process is that the administration submits to council, council reviews, and council makes adjustments after we submit it to you.
All right.
If there's no other, Madam President, I think I see you.
Be included for the yes vote for introductory number 284 and 285, please.
Madam Clerk, have you captured that, please?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And hearing that, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.
At this time, I call the Neighborhood and Business Development Committee to order, and I ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Patterson.
Here.
Councilmember Lupian.
Here.
Councilmember Melendez. President Scott.
Introductory number 290, authorizing the sale of real estate. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, I need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so we got a motion in a second, and now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Introductory passes. Introductory number 291, authorizing acceptance of real estate by donation. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, I need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
All right, got a motion in a second, and now we vote. All in favor of the item, introductory, sorry, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Introductory passes. Introductory number 292, authorizing the acquisition of 16 Edward Street and 393 Hudson Avenue. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
All right, got a motion in a second, and now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say introductory, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Introductory passes. Introductory number 293, bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing issuance of 95,000 bonds of said city to finance costs to acquire 16 Edward Street and 393 Hudson Avenue. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and we got a motion and a second, and now we vote. All in favor of the item, please, introductory, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Introductory passes. Introductory number 294, authorizing a license agreement for the use of city property at 345 Rosedale Street as a community garden. This is the part where we always let Councilmember Gruber kick in, but he's not here, so I'll say on his behalf, thank you for authorizing this, sending this back. This is a wonderful thing that we're doing. We need to do more things like this. So, I need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
All right. I got a motion in a second. All in favor of the item, please say introductory, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Introductory passes. Introductory number 295, authorizing a lease of commercial space in the sister city's parking garage. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, we need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
All right, and now we vote. All in favor of the introductory, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Introductory passes. Introductory number 296, authorizing the mandatory lease agreement for 280 Exchange Boulevard. Need a motion in a second?
I got a question.
Go ahead, you got a question.
So in the answer we got back, it says that it's more cost effective to have the owner do the leasee do the maintenance, and I was just wondering if there was any kind of breakdown of what it looked like for us to do it versus the leasee.
Yeah, that's actually a question that I'm going to defer to Commissioner Jones. I'm sure he can answer that better than I can.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
The actual answer is that it's more cost effective to have a harbor master in place than paying a full-time position for a harbor master. Part of our contractual obligation with the Canal Corp is that when we open up Cornell Landing, that we had to have a harbor master in place to basically manage the slip, the docking there, provide boating services, operations for restrooms, information, basically a greeting location, and basically maintain the navigation corridor. So if we put in a full-time person and had that person be a harbor master, it would cost us upwards to about $65,000 to $75,000 a year. We looked at that at the Port of Rochester as a baseline, and it's more cost effective for us to have a relationship with a third-party entity that would be actually occupying this space to be our harbor master. It makes good sense for us.
Thank you for that. I thought this amendment was about maintenance service.
No,
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, and on that note, any other questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, we need a motion in a second.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All right, got a motion in
All
a
right.
second, and now we vote on the introductory. All in favor of it, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the introductory, please say nay. Introductory passes. Introductory number 297, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement with the County of Monroe to fund lead-based paint poison prevention inspection services. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, we need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
All right, and now we vote. All in favor of introductory number 297, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Introductory passes. Introductory number 318, authorizing agreements related to land management system software acquisition and implementation. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
All right, and now we vote on the introductory. All in favor of the introductory, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the introductory, please say nay. Introductory passes. If there is no other business before this committee, we stand adjourned.
Good afternoon. The Parks and Public Works Committee will come to order, and the clerk will call the roll, please.
Councilmember Gruber, Councilmember Evans,
Present.
Councilmember Pio,
Here.
President Scott.
Here. Introductory number 298, authorizing an agreement for the Bausch and Lomb Library Mechanical Equipment Replacement Project. Questions, comments? Is there
Move it.
none? Is there a motion?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 299, authorizing funding for the Main Street Streetscape Phase 2 project. Questions or comments? Is there a motion?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 300, authorizing funding of Rochester Running Track Bridge improvements, Phase 1. Questions, comments? The motion, please.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 301, amending ordinance number 2017-201, and authorizing an amendatory agreement relating to the shared mobility program. Questions or comments? A motion, please.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I say aye. Motion carries. Introductory number 302, authorizing an agreement for Rock City Skate Park, Phase 2. Questions or comments?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I say. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 303, bond ordinance for the City of Rochester, authorizing the issuance of 205,000 bonds of said city to finance the South Avenue High roof replacement. Questions, comments? Is there a motion?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 304, appropriating Marcaselli funds, amending ordinance number 2020-328, changing the direction of street traffic and changing pavement widths relating to the State Street Reconstruction Project. A public hearing will be held this evening after the committee meeting. Is there a motion
Move
for
it.
consideration?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I say aye. Motion carries. 304. Introductory number 305, resolution authorizing the implementation and funding in the first instance 100% of the federal aid and state Marcasella program aid eligible costs of the State Street Reconstruction Transportation Federal Aid Project and appropriating funds therefore. Questions or comments? Is there a motion?
Move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I say aye. Motion carries. That concludes the business of the Parks and Public Works Committee.
I'd like to call to order the Public Safety, Recreation, and Human Service Committee. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice President Lightfoot, Councilmember Gruber, Councilmember Harris,
Present.
Councilmember Pio,
Here.
President Scott.
Here.
Thank you.
Introductory number 306, appropriating funds for the smoke and carbon monoxide detectors installation program. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Introductory passes. Introductory number 307, appropriating funds and authorizing agreements for sexual risk avoidance education grant program. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
I do have a follow-up question on mine.
Okay.
Thank you. So for the KPIs, I asked for the outcomes. I was meaning, is there a decrease in teen pregnancy from this year to last year? I see how many were served, but what were the actual outcomes?
We'll get you a copy of that report.
Thank
Mm, Is there any additional questions? Okay, need a
No.
motion and a second.
So moved.
you. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Introductory passes. Introductory number 308, authorizing a mentoring agreement and amending the 2021-2022 budget for the Rachel Ray Save Them All grant from the Best Friends Animal Society. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Introductory passes. Introductory number 309, amending the 2021-22 budget for the Human Animal Support Services Implementation Grant. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Need a motion and a second.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Introductory number 310, amending the 2021-22 budget for the Petco Foundation Animal Services Grant. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Need a motion
So moved.
or a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Introductory number 310, amending the budget, let me go to the next one. Introductory number 311, amending the 2021 budget and authorizing an agreement with Rochester Area Crime Stoppers, Inc. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Need a motion or a second?
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Motion passes. Introductory number 312, authorizing the receipt and use of a grant amending the 21-22 budget for pedestrian safety, enforcement, and education program. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
I do.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you very much for this because this is incredibly helpful for our district. These three avenues are just out of control. So I look forward to these funds going towards enforcement of law. Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments? Need a motion or a second?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Authorizing the agreement for Monroe Community College for the Police Recruitment Education Project. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
I have a question.
Yes.
I was wondering, do we have any current officers that have gone through this program?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. There's Michelle Caldron, who was our recruiting officer.
Thank you.
Directly assigned to this program.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question as well. Do we have a dedicated recruiter in the RPD?
Yes, there was the officer, Michelle Caldron.
Up here. Okay. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Okay, need a motion and a second.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any extensions? Motion passes. Authorizing, introductory number 314, bond ordinance for the city of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of a $1,192,000 bonds of said city to finance the replacement of the engine pumper at Genesee Street Firehouse and one engine pumper at the Rodden Island Street Firehouse. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Thank you. It doesn't have to do with this, but do we have a recruiter for the fire department? Dedicated recruiter?
No, we do not.
Thank you.
Any additional questions?
No.
Need a second or a motion?
Move to adopt. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? Motion passes. Introductory number 315, authorizing agreement for Peacemaker Fellowship Program. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Need a motion or a second?
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Introductory number 319, authorizing intermunicipal agreement for operating Pathways to Peace program in city schools. Any questions, comments, or concern?
We're holding it.
I'd like to make a comment that I will be abstaining for this.
We're not having a vote on it. Just hold it.
Oh, we're going to hold it? Okay. Let me correct myself. We're going to hold this in the committee. So that will conclude the parts, the Public Safety, Recreation, and Human Services Committee. I'd like to adjourn.
That concludes the committee meetings for tonight. The public hearing will start at 5 p.m.
You can have it. You can have it. I got so many pens in this drawer. No, you can keep it. Keep it in the drawer. I got some of the pens in here. Yeah, I even got pieces of candy here from last year. So,
We came close today. Goodness. I knew that Mitch wasn't going to be here. I didn't realize it. I thought Miguel was next week. Was it last week or something? Well, I don't know about the date, but I thought he was on vacation the last week of, the 4th week. Oh, really? No, you're not. Thank you. Yeah. So let me get under the lace kind of thing. Can we be on the same kind of thing for yesterday? She had on this. Oh, that is so beautiful. This is Madam President. I put this on the paper like Madam President. He said he was it's showing canceled on his calendar. So I got mixed up. It's taking off my calendar. Oh, she doesn't put the actual item in there. Oh, okay, okay. It was. Okay. I think I saw something that you had a link to the document and stuff. So, when it's over to us in your documents, we'll bring it up. So I put it up here, so then during the meeting, we can just go over it. Okay. That's way cool. I've not used Google Docs for maybe a couple things, and I've never gotten used to it. I'm just having a hell of a time. I bought new, I use QuickBooks for my business. And I had to get the latest version of software. It was going to stop processing that the whole thing. So I had been having trouble sending things out, like the W-2s and stuff. It wouldn't go out on Outlook. So I said, well, maybe it's because my Outlook is very old. It's from 2006. So I got the new QuickBooks. I got the new Outlook. I got a new computer. I got them all at the same time, and I'm about to bang my head against the wall. That still doesn't work. I can't get Gmail to resend. I mean, it'll do it, but it won't show it to me, right? I gotta find it. It won't show it in the box. It's just unbelievably difficult. This is mean. So I carve out 2 or 3 nights a week. Do a little personal frustration. Unbelievable. Well, you know, I had Alicia Ford. She teaches research for ESC. So they do the Microsoft and all that stuff. We were on the phone the other night. Must have been about an hour and a half. We went to Google University. We did that. I mean, we did all of that. And it would be rewarding and frustrating at the same time because you're looking at something, you read the instruction step. You do that, right? We got it. Close it out, go back in. No! Okay. There's a reason for this. I don't know what it is. But there's a reason for it. Oh. Yeah. That makes it very efficient doing it like that. I saw something kind of like that on a couple of the cities when I went into their website to look at their legislation and stuff. I don't know whether it was just a manipulation of the information or an actual software approach that they were using with. Not so much Zim as what type of it? Yeah, I get much from Southwood folks, but I get a ton of it. It usually has to do with city infrastructure or things of that nature. And I'm not, well, I used to be the chair of Parks and Public Works, so maybe it's leftover from that. It must be leftover from that. Good evening and welcome to the August public hearing. The meeting will come to order and the clerk will call the roll, please.
Councilmember Evans, Councilmember Gruber, Councilmember Harris,
Here.
Councilmember Lupian,
Here.
Councilmember Melendez, Councilmember Patterson, Councilmember Peel,
Here.
Vice President Lightfoot, President Scott.
Here. Thank you all for joining us for public hearing. Tonight's hearings will be broadcast live on YouTube as well as on City Channel 12.
Pursuant to law, a public hearing will now be had on the following matter: appropriating Marchicelli funds, amending ordinance number 2020-328, changing the direction of the street traffic, and changing pavement widths relating to the State Street reconstruction project. Introductory number 304. Any person desiring to speak in reference to said matter will now be heard.
If there are no speakers, that hearing is closed. That concludes our public hearing. This legislation will be brought before council on Tuesday, August 17th at 7:30 p.m. and that too will be streamed live on our YouTube channel as well as on City Channel 12. Thank you. We are adjourned.